Oil hits new highs. The ripple effect is being felt all through the economy.
The LA Times is reporting that discount airline JetBlue delaying the launch of its first transcontinental routes that would take flyers from New York and Boston to Los Angeles. According to reports, the high price of fuel is just, they can't figure out a way to make the flights profitable, so they're scrapping it.
All the airlines are struggling with the same economic realities right now. Is it time for everyone to get behind proposed mergers that could create stronger air carriers? Our Fox panel is here to talk about it, including Victoria Barrett from Forbes, Peter Schiff, author of Crash Proof, and Terry Keenan from Fox News. Good to see you all. Terry, first to you. Will this sort of put pressure on the politicians to grease the skids of those mergers?
Well, the skids are already greased. I mean, we're seeing mergers, every month or so, but I don't know how the mergers are going to help these airlines cope with the high price of oil and the fact that they didn't hedge.
Bob Crandall doesn't think they will
help. You run a business and your biggest cost is fuel. You'd think maybe you would hedge against the possibility of higher fuel prices, and these airlines haven't. And, they can't pass, especially an airline like JetBlue, can't start charging extremely higher prices because that's what they're known for. They're cheap fares, so they're kind of in a box.
Peter, Terry makes a great point. Are mergers the panacea for oil prices, or are you dealing with apples?
Well, they're not the panacea for the public. They're ultimately going to be the thing that has to happen to save the industry. The bottom line is Americans are now too broke to afford to pay airlines enough money to fly in their planes, given the current structure.
Wait a minute. Every flight I'm on is jam-packed.
Yes,
I know they're cutting capacity, but stick to the oil angle.
No, the flights are jam-packed because the airlines are losing money. What they need to do is have far fewer flights. They need to cancel a lot of flights. They need to get lots smaller. They need to have fewer flights and then double and triple their ticket prices. Then only the people who really need to fly for business and who are wealthy, they'll fly and the airlines will be profitable. But there'll be a lot less people working in the airline industry and there'll be a lot fewer Americans flying. But that's the price we're going to pay for what we've done.
Bob Crandall, the former head of American who did a great job with American Airlines, was on Scoreboard a couple of weeks ago and he said, look, there's no problem that the right price can't fix. He said it is all about pricing. He said mergers is not going to help anything. If you take one bad company, another bad company, you put them together, you'll have one big bad company. So it's not mergers, it's pricing. That's the issue.
Well, yeah, prices have to come up, and they will go up, and it's bad news for American businesses. It's bad news for those of us who want to go on vacation this summer. And it's going to be bad news for JetBlue in the sense, they're cutting their capacity. They're basically acknowledging that they can't grow profitably. That's a really curious thing. It's Peter's right in the sense that, yeah, Americans aren't willing to pay high prices for that wonderful seat they're going to get on a flight. Businesses are going to cut back their budgets. This is an industry that will consolidate, unfortunately, because they'll justify, that they'll be able to cut cost as consolidation happens, and that'll make it easier for them to force up prices. If you've got fewer airlines, less competition, it's easier to raise prices.
But also less capacity.
Yeah, less capacity. And, the airlines are quietly cutting flights. I get a phone call once a week when my husband's traveling. Oh, your flight's, his flight's been canceled. I don't know why they're leaving the message in New York when he's in Dallas or Utah or wherever, but they do, and they are canceling flights.
Let me throw this out to you guys. One of the shrewdest, smartest people in airlines is David Neeleman. He's going to, by the way, be on Happy Hour tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern with Rebecca and Cody because he's launching this new airline called Azul. Somehow he's figuring out a way that he's going to launch an airline that makes money. Is there still a chance, no matter what all the options are around there with high fuel prices, that...
I don't know. It's tough. Maybe he can. I don't know. He doesn't have all these legacy costs. He doesn't have the unions. He doesn't have a lot of the fixed overhead that these bigger carriers have. But the reason the mergers ultimately will work, and they only work if they get rid of capacity. They have to lay off people. They have to cut routes and cut flights. That's the only way they can. They just can't merge and be two huge companies.
So Victoria, Skybus, another low-cost airline that went out of business a couple of weeks ago, we had the CEO of Skybus on. He said that if we see anything close to $150 a barrel oil, we're going to be out of business. He's out of business. JetBlue, all the other discounters, are they eventually going to go bye-bye?
I don't think they go bye-bye. Southwest has done a better job than all the others in hedging their fuel prices. They seem to be doing okay. There are ways to manage the risk of higher prices, and ultimately, we, the consumers, are going to get stuck paying the bill. It's going to be a hard thing, though, because a lot of consumers can't pay more for tickets.
Yeah,
This is the problem that faces all businesses right now.
One of the problems for the
prices
discounters is that these big carriers are operating and losing a lot of money. If we can get these companies to consolidate and dramatically raise their prices, then the discounters can still raise their prices and be discounted and operate.
As Liz just mentioned, JetBlue founder David Neeleman will be on Happy Hour tonight. Yep. Neeleman's going to be talking about this new Brazilian venture and the state of safety in the skies. Take a listen.
If you look at statistics of, used to be, you had 1 in a million chance of having an accident. Now it's 1 in 300 million. And it's so statistically insignificant. And a large part it's been collaboration between the airlines and the FAA on inspections, on pilot training has been a huge issue.
Are you saying the government has actually done something good for the consumer at home at some point?
It has. I mean, every time there's an accident, they figure out what happened, what human factor, and mainly it's human factors, caused that accident. And then they close that loophole to make sure that nobody can make that mistake again.
We'll talk about Brazil.
Wow, we're dying to hear about that. You can catch the entire interview on Happy Hour with Cody Willard and Rebecca Gomez tonight at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Azul is the name of his new airline.
Well,
smart guy.